This is The Big Breakdown, a long look back at some of the biggest stories we're covering for you at the Hidden Killers Podcast and True Crime Today.
If you were fighting for your freedom, where would you want to be? Close to your legal team, near your family, in a place where at least the logistics don't stack the deck against you? Richard Allen isn't in any of those places. He's in Oklahoma, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles away from his wife, his lawyers, and the state where this all began. On paper, prison transfers happen all the time. In reality, they can be used to make a defendant's life and defense exponentially harder. Add in the fact that Kathy Allen isn't able to visit her husband since before his conviction, and you start to see why this doesn't look like routine bureaucracy. Kathy's appearance in the recent documentary was a turning point, a reminder that there's a real family behind this case, one that's been shattered, whether you believe Richard Allen is guilty or not. But here's the kicker. She was never called to testify at trial. Her humanity, her perspective, the context she could have provided, all left on the table. Why? That's a kind of decision that can change the course of a case, and it's where we're going to start here today with Bob Motta, defense attorney and host of the podcast Defense Diaries. Let's get into it.
To be honest with you, I mean, there's got to be some kind of an agreement between Indiana and Oklahoma for them to just try. Like, I mean, typically you serve your sentence in the state in which you're sentenced in. It's not to say, I mean, I've certainly heard of prisoners of note being moved out of state to different prisons. It's typically for security reasons.
Yeah.
But in terms of why Richard Allen was moved, I have not been able to get any information, and people that are in the know have not been able to get any information as to why that happened. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, look, with appeals, the defendant doesn't go in there and sit in the appellate court while those get argued anyway. Sure. It's not going to affect his ability to have his appeal heard and litigated at all. It does move him hours and hours and hundreds of miles away from his wife.
Yeah.
In terms of her being able to visit. But from what I understand, Kathy she hasn't been able to visit Richard since he was convicted.
Really?
From what I've heard. So I don't know, man.
Do they not allow visitation? I mean,
of course they do. Yeah.
Then why would she? I mean, what's the?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Man. But it's the same answer when he's a pretrial detainee. Why they're not allowing her to visit? Sure. Like what is there? Does there exist a reasonable explanation?
Do we know?
So.
Do we know what is he in solitary confinement now? Do we know where he's at or how he's being held within the confines of the prison?
I would assume that it's some kind of protective custody. Mm-hmm. He could be being held in a very similar circumstance to which he was being held in, in Indiana pre-trial. Yeah. Where he's in a cell 23 hours a day, losing his shit.
And that's what I wonder about, because that's my big question. How is he today? Do we know how he is today?
You know what we can figure based on what we saw from the first time they had him in prison for 13 months in solitary? He's not doing better. Yeah. That's for certain. He's not doing better. I mean, prisons just are not the type of place where they're overly concerned about your mental well-being. No. It's not what they do. I mean, it's not to say that they don't have people that they have available to talk, with inmates when they're suffering mentally. Yeah. Because I'm sure they do. But in terms of, is that their primary concern?
Not at all.
It's just not.
And the thing is, once this, I mean, if and when, or if we end up getting to another trial, these appeals work, if something happens, what's going to be left of this man by the time, if he ever is let out, if ever found not guilty, if they find that this was all a big sham and he goes free, I don't know what you're going to have there. And
I mean, a shell of a man.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I feel horrible. Kathy's, it was very good. I'm very happy she was in that documentary.
Me too.
She's needed to have her voice heard in this too. I think show the world more of who he is. And this is like a normal family, and she's came across just like a normal woman because she is. And it was just, it humanized this more, I thought. And it showed just the torture that she's had to go through in this as well, having her husband ripped away.
Her whole life
was
shattered in the blink of an eye.
It's just
everything that was normal for them was ended the day that they decided to search their house. And like the people that try to impute some consciousness of guilt type argument to him saying it doesn't fucking matter, it's over, in terms of like, oh, there he is, he's saying that it was over because they searched it. He was saying what you've done in terms of searching my home, the way that you searched it in my neighborhood, in this small town for this crime, you fucking ended my life.
Yeah.
Like you've destroyed my reputation. There is no coming back from it. And you know, this is that case, T, where if he is given a new trial through direct appeal, or if it's through post-conviction petition, and he gets a new trial and he's found not guilty, there are going to be people that are always going to fucking think that man is the guy.
Sure.
You know, I mean, his life in terms of normality is
there's no returning back to normal life ever.
Never. And I don't care where he moves. You know, I mean, clearly they'd have to move out of Indiana. But to your point, you know, I spent a lot of time. I sat next to Kathy Allen every day during that trial. And, you know, I told her my role for her was to explain what was going on, because she's just a sweet, you know, Midwestern gal who has no experience with the criminal justice system, has no experience with any of this, and whose life has been shattered. And, you know, I wanted to be able to be available to her, because if you don't think that Kathy Allen's a victim, that you don't understand what being a victim is.
I mean, that's
world, man, because it takes all different forms. And that woman is that entire family, like Jan, his mother, and I mean, they're just salt of the earth, as sweet as you can imagine. I mean, I broke bread with these people on many, many occasions. They're just a genuinely nice family. Like there's nothing strange about any of them. Kathy is just like every woman that I've ever met from the Midwest, who's just like loves her husband, long time marriage, you know, just a straight shooter and just a really, really down to earth, nice person. And, you know, I'm heartbroken for her. And she is feeling every bit of all of this still. You know, I mean, I'm in communication with her, and she is she's just a puddle, like, and understandably so. Like, she is just not, you don't recover from this. I mean, it's like there is, you know, and it's like she wants to be strong. She's going to be there for her husband. But in terms of the day to day, when he's now gone in a prison, and that's her new reality, it's a hard reality to live in, man.
I hope she keeps speaking out. I hope the family keeps speaking out, because I think Richard needs that, and this can't be easy. And I'm sure they get grief from, you know, people who disagree with them too. But I felt that was so powerful. So I really hope that she keeps talking and letting his story and their story be told, because I think that I think is going to help move the needle more than anything, is her helping to put that human 100%. Side to him. Yeah, without a doubt.
I could not agree more. And the other thing, before we jump off of that subject, the other thing that it made me just rehash was that I was so firmly of the mindset that she should have been called at trial. That they needed to hear from her.
Yeah.
And like watching her and just seeing her humanity and putting humanity into context for that jury in terms of this is who these people were, is huge, man. And completely. It didn't happen. And it's like, I'm like, oh my God. Because like during the trial, like leading up to the last day of trial, I'm asking Kathy, I'm like, does it seem like they're going to call you? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, they need to call you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's but that's a strategic decision, you know, and
Sure.
I'm sure the defense had reasons why they were worried about it. I mean, I
Sure.
to me, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it opens her up to cross.
Understand.
It opens up to all that shit, and yeah, I mean,
Like, you know what though? It's like if they're worried about the part of the interrogation where Kathy has been brought in from the hallway, or if you guys have never seen the interrogation videos, I highly recommend you watch them.
Go look. Yeah,
they're out there. They're everywhere. We've got them on my channel.
Yep.
I'm sure T's got them on his channel. But go watch them. They're worth your time, and just try to look at them objectively, and try to watch them in terms of, am I watching a guilty person that has been able to evade law enforcement for 5 years, whose jig is finally up? Is that who you're looking at when you're watching these two separate interviews? And you come to your own conclusions on that. But when Kathy, I need people to understand that when she is out in the hallway while Jerry Holman is going at Richard Allen really, really hard in this room, she is being told by other law enforcement officers what they have against her husband. Okay, so she is being fed information by the people that are trying to persecute her husband. This is what, so she walks into that room thinking, I don't know what to think. And they've just told me they have all this evidence against you. And she says that thing like where she says, I don't remember you telling me you went out to the bridge.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was out there. He's like, I told you I was out there.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just don't remember that. And like that conversation wasn't allowed to develop as much as like him saying, I told you I was out at the trails. And like, that means if I'm out at the trails, I'm going out to the bridge. Like, I didn't need to articulate exactly that I was out on the bridge. Because if he didn't see the girls, he wouldn't think to be like, oh yeah, they walked right by me.
Like, I was by the elm tree. Of course you were. Yeah.
You know, but like that part of it is, you know, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. And those are all the things in terms of what she could have testified to. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if that's what they were concerned with, that would have been easy enough to flesh out. And frankly, I think you could have really have helped that situation, because there is the people that believe that he's guilty, that they believe that that's a damning statement. Like, oh, look, he didn't even tell her he went out to the bridge proper. Like, he kept that part out.
Yeah. And when you selectively look at that, then you look back at your own conversations with your spouse or whoever, and like, how many times have you had that conversation with someone where it's like, wait, well, it's implied. It's like, it's all right. It's like, this is just normal husband-wife communication. Like, it's nothing. And she's, like you said, she's just presented with all of this crazy shit that was thrown at her as fact. And now go back to your husband. And then she's going to be on notice. She's going to be.
Could you imagine where your head would be? Like at that moment in time?
Yeah, like, it's all a mind fuck. I mean, it's a
total mind fuck.
Yeah.
Man.
And they knew how to play it. I mean, and the Jerry Holman, like, all of that with him and his interrogation. I mean, this is, when you watch it, yes, watch it objectively. Watch and go, is this an innocent man? Also look at Jerry Holman and the others who are interrogating him and go, is this a man who failed it, who could not get a job as a used car salesman? So he went into law enforcement. Because that's how it feels. It's like, this is an angry man who didn't get the sale of the Pinto on the lot. And he's angry. And he doesn't really have very effective tactics or very well thought out tactics on how he's going to do this. But he watched some crime shows in '85. And that's what he's still going with. And that's how it feels. It's like, oh, well, if this doesn't work out.
He's no Columbo.
No, if this doesn't work out, you know, the Honda dealership always needs some high pressure salespeople that are there for you. And I'll bet you anything. On Saturdays when they bring out the balloons and the big flags and they have the lunch, the hot dogs out there grilling, I can guarantee that man's probably at the front of the line, in front of all the customers.
And the big inflatable guy.
Big inflatable, the big wavy inflatables. Yep. Yeah, he's sitting there. Okay, lunch is served, and all the customers, I'll take some of that potato salad.
George Costanza trying to get out of the burning building style.
That's him. Again, just conjecture, and I'm just joking, kind of. What you just heard isn't just about one man's conviction. It's about the ripple effect that can take place in a case. that had everyone connected to it. Kathy Allen isn't collateral damage. She's a victim in her own right, living with a new reality where her husband's name will forever be tied to the Delphi murders, no matter what any future court says. The defense may have had strategic reasons for keeping her off the stand, but watching her speak publicly now, it's hard not to wonder if that choice cost them more than it saved. Trials aren't just about evidence, they're about human connection. And in a case, this circumstantial connection might have mattered more than anything. From here, the fight moves into appellate courts, where the rules are different, the audience is smaller, and the stakes are just as high. The question now isn't just whether Richard Allen will get another trial. It's what will be left of him and his life, if he does. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section on YouTube. If you're not already there, search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. And hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our coverage on this case and the many that we cover for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. We're talking with Bob Motta right now about the case in Delphi. Richard Allen, of course, spending the rest of his life in prison right now, but the appeals process underway. The appeals process does not go fast. It does not go quickly, and it's not super efficient in any way, shape, or form. But we're breaking all of that down right now, and if you have comments or questions, be sure to drop them in the comments section. Let's go way back a little bit because
wait, before you do that, Stacy, Did you say the thing that you wanted to say? I talk so much that I tend to forget whether or not you actually asked your question.
I asked one of them. There was another one I wanted to throw out there from our comment section. People have just been on fire with this. Somebody had asked, Karen asked, is there a time limit for the post-conviction?
No, there isn't.
Okay, good.
No, there isn't. There is, time is your enemy in the sense of like what I was talking about earlier. I mean, people pass away, people forget shit, minds change, memories fail, like all that kind of stuff. So in the sense that the sooner the better that you can get to it, because like your memory is always freshest right when something happens. Like I've been listening to some of these memory experts and frankly, the guy who testified on Richard Allen's behalf at trial was really interesting. And when he said this, it made complete sense that when you are trying to remember something that is already a memory of something that has happened, you are literally having a memory of the first memory.
Correct.
And it's always evolving. So anything that you may have added to memories of that event ago will now be built upon. And that thing that may or may not have even happened has now become a part of your actual memory of what happened, even though it didn't occur. And as you continue to recall, because we all have those stories, right, in our lives, like I always say the best stories are horrible things that happen to us. They always like somebody will say, oh my God, like you won't believe what happened. And I'll say, well, here's the bright thing. You'll always have that incredible story to tell people. Sure. And it's a horrifying thing. I mean, rarely do you have amazing things that happen to you that are a great story. It's usually something terrible. So point being is that, memories, they're a tough thing. It's like, how much can you really trust them? Because you don't know how much your own mind has added over the course of time to those previous memories because that's what you're recalling. The last time that you talked about the memory,
I mean, that is how it works. I mean, that there are false memories. It's a fact of life of how brains work, and it is. I'll say this: it is interesting how in some cases, this is a totally acceptable fact, and then others, it's like false memories. You don't have false memories, right? Karen Reed case.
He went there.
He went to Dever, Clever, Cleaver. Yeah.
Whatever that was.
Whatever her name was.
Whatever that was. And I don't know what to think of that, honest to God.
Yeah.
But it exists. It's not something that is made up by an attorney or this or that. for convenience.
It's not a court move.
No, it is there. It is a thing. Whether you want to believe this person is operating on a false memory is a whole other.
It's the same thing as false confessions. Like people just refuse to believe that those are actually a fucking thing.
We have that in this case, don't we?
We do. We do indeed. We do indeed. I mean, we have them like all over the place. Like if you watched, I mean, to me, like the most recent example that was a beautiful example of false confessions is that yogurt shop murder case where you had two guys who had absolutely nothing to do with it, who were just a couple of fucking teenagers that used to hang out in this fucking creek behind this mall, smoking weed and fucking skateboarding and just being burnout teenager. Right.
Yeah.
You know, they get them in there and both of these guys confess and they rat one another out to something that neither of them did. They both get convicted. One of them gets sentenced to death. Okay, now they both got overturned around 2009. Both of them did fucking 8 years in. And then last week, all of a sudden, with the magic and the wonder of DNA and IgG, they find out and figure out based on the actual DNA that was left on one of the victims and on a shell casing in a fucking drain who actually did it. And it was a fucking serial killer that just happened to bounce into town, walk in there and did what he did. And it's like, and that's for the people that just refused, because here's what the problem is.
Goes against their narrative.
The problem is with false confessions is that we all sit there in our own minds and are like, I would never confess to something.
Bullshit.
I would never say I murdered somebody if they're fucking telling me I did and I didn't do it. I would never do it. And then I'm like, yes, you would.
Yeah, you would.
They're like, yes, you would. That's how this whole thing works.
Yep.
And that was such a great example of it. And it was really fulfilling to have them figure out who had actually committed those heinous crimes against those beautiful kids. So
let's speaking of memories, obviously, you know, there's the false memory, there's this memories being tainted over time. But what about, you know, wait till this case gets to the point where Richard Allen himself is a memory. What do we know? Obviously, he did not do well in prison. You know, he's in prison now. What do we know about his current state in Oklahoma?
Nothing.
But
we know he like stays. He's not like, people can't even find him. They're and you know, there's people in the Free Richard Allen camp that are searching for him actively in terms, because you can go in any prison. You can go online, you can find out what their inmate number, and you can figure that out a certain way. You can backdoor it by typing in their name. No one can find exactly where he is.
But how is this possible? How is this possible in this system that this is going on, that people cannot find this man and get a conditional update on him?
I think Kathy knows where he is, but the process of getting into the prison is a 6 to 8 week vetting process. Kathy has not seen her husband since he was convicted.
Holy crap.
I mean, I just want that to kind of like, no matter which side you fall on this, in terms of the way that they closed him off from that woman that was so fucking critical for his ability to stand upright as a human being, because he was that dependent on her. He had this dependency disorder that he just never thought he was good enough. He just never thought that people liked him. He just never thought that he was good enough for people to love him. And that was a real thing. And it way predated any of these crimes, as did his depression. So that's the fragile eggshell that you're dealing with coming into that incarceration thing. And whether they knew it or they didn't know it, and I'm talking about the state and all those players that put him in.
They didn't care. You think they give a damn about emotions or mental health?
They didn't give a fuck, man. But like, they didn't realize when they were doing what they were doing just how easy it was going to be to crack him. You know, because when they shut him off from any, like, and I don't give a shit that he could be on a tablet calling his wife not being able to lay eyes on her and have her be in front of him, whether it's behind plexiglass or not, and have her, because I'm assuming because he wasn't a convicted felon that she would have been able to sit with him in a room without a piece of glass in front of him, because the guy is a pretrial detainee, not a convicted fucking felon. You can't have him in prison under the same rules that you have for the convicted felon. Like every time I would hear them say, "Oh, well, you know, we made more accommodations for Richard." Well, you're supposed to. He's a fucking pretrial detainee. He's sitting in there, an innocent man. You jag off. The rest of those people in that prison are all convicted murderers and rapists.
Yeah.
And this guy is not that, and you're treating him as though he is. You know, it's like that, the whole incarceration side of that. Anyone that looks at that objectively and is like, you know, I'm good with it, they can fuck right off. Like, like that. This is not how we can run shit in this country. It's like you said, T. It's a slippery slope, bro. You know, if you say it's okay here, then what's to stop? Do it in every case.
And I think we have a weird way of doing things, because we have laws in this country, and then we have rules within a system, and it seems the two seem to turn into a gray area of what actually one has rights to do, and you know, laws tend to overstep rules. But when it comes to something like this, why were there no, or are there, did the system work as directed, I guess is the question. Were the laws followed? Was everything that was done to him, putting him in solitary confinement, basically torturing him for all of those years, or for that year, a little bit more than a year, was that all completely legal? Was that following the letter of the law as the way the law works?
No, it violated. Okay. It violated. If you look at world rules in terms of,
I'm talking Geneva Convention. I'm just talking like how our system.
Yeah, but
law versus law, and I agree there. I think it's insane no matter what. But I'm wondering, when we complain about like, well, this is crazy, it shouldn't be this way. Of course, nothing should be the way anything is. But did it work within what's allowed to happen based on the law?
No.
Okay. Then why?
30
then when
days is the limit.
Then when there's this, I mean, it's in the open. It's not like any of this was secretive. It's all out there. It's all documented what was done. Why can there be no then if that's the laws were broken, then there should be repercussions for those people who broke those laws.
But there has to be some sort of standard and somebody as a gatekeeper, and it just doesn't, at least in this case, it doesn't feel like there is.
And if you can't prosecute it, then it wasn't a law that was broken.
So here's the workaround for it. So there's what the standard is in terms of how long you're allowed by law to keep somebody in solitary. They didn't consider it. So the wording that the government would use is that he wasn't in solitary; he was in a single person cell.
They just renamed it.
I know.
Yeah, right. What's the difference?
Here's the thing, and then the other part of it, T, is that he was under a safekeeping order. So that's why the defense kept going in and saying, "Okay, enough with the fucking safekeeping order," because that's what they were using. They're like, the safekeeping order was the thing that was preempting what is humane, because they were claiming that if they didn't keep him in this isolated area, that either he was going to kill himself and or one of the other inmates was going to kill him. So that was their reasoning behind it. So that was why the defense went in on multiple occasions. That's when they were trying to get rid of the safekeeping order. That's what they were trying to do. And they were saying, okay, we've got Cass County here. It's a brand new facility. It can definitely handle Richard Allen. They could keep him in a segregated area, and he's not going to be in the most secure area, in the most secure prison in Indiana, being screamed at by he's a child killer by fucking
Odinist guards.
Odinist guards. So and Gull just kept rejecting it until she didn't on the eve of trial. Like when they finally transported him to Cass County for trial, she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll get rid of the safekeeping order now. We'll just keep him at cast through
Just
trial.
change the
That'll
names.
be so much easier.
I tell you what, I got some asbestos to sell her. I just changed the E to the B to a D. Asbestos. It's lovely. It's a great product. Totally safe. The name slightly changed.
Hey, I started messing with that last night. I did.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who don't know what they're talking about.
Sora, the AI, I created a commercial for asbestos. but seriously.
What is it? Bill's Warehouse.
Oh, Bill's House of Deals also sells asbestos. Yes.
Yeah,
but seriously, I mean, if that's how this can work, we're just going to call it something different. It's exactly the same, to basically check the box and say that we're doing it right, which is basically so that's their workaround.
That was the workaround. It was that simple, that safekeeping. But here's where the problem for them with that safekeeping order is, because you can, like in this case, you can follow it, from the breadcrumb trail. Like when they got him on the safekeeping hearing, it happened without Richard Allen being present in court and without him having a representative on his behalf in court. It happened basically under cover of darkness. So yeah. Richard Allen, and the problem being that Richard Allen had the ability to, pursuant to the safekeeping statute, say, hey, look, here's the deal, man. I understand what you're saying. I understand your concern for me. However, I'm good with it. So just put me where you're going to put me. Like he had the right to say that. The fact that because if this would have been like a strictly ministerial type thing, when they're just saying, okay, well, there's nothing that the defendant could have said or done that would have changed what happened there, then it's not as much of an issue as it is where there is something that he could have said and done during that hearing that would have changed the end result, because that safekeeping hearing and then the resultant order that was entered started everything for them. I mean, and it went down the road, and and it ended up where it ended up.
So does Kathy have communication? Like, can she visit him if she wanted to? I mean, I know, like, there's visitation and stuff sometimes in prisons.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
What is, like, what are her rights? Like, what if she wanted to? Can she
be approved?
Still,
as we sit here right now, she's still wet, because remember they moved him.
How long does that take to get approved?
She told me 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm like, well,
so then start the process.
Aren't we past that by now?
She's up and started the process.
Jesus,
this isn't Kathy sitting around not trying to see Rick Allen. This is her trying to see him when they first had him incarcerated, and then they move him. You get a new facility, new DOC. You got to start the whole thing all over again. It's like I wouldn't be surprised, frankly, if they move him fucking again.
Just to keep moving, to stop the.
I cannot put it past anybody at this point. And yes, I am from Chicago. Insane. Jagoff is definitely I think it's a Midwestern thing. Did you ever say Jagoff coming from Wisconsin?
In high school.
Too. Yeah, I think it's a Midwestern thing. In Gabagoo. The Gabagoo. Hey,
I learned that on Sopranos. Hey. I said fuck Jack a lot. Todd says fuck Jack a lot too. I learned fuck Jack from Todd.
It's quality.
I say fuck nut.
Yeah. Fuck nut's good too.
Yeah.
Fuck nut's good too.
It's exasperating just hearing this.
It's scary. It's exasperating, and it's scary to think. Because look, man, we just if we have fair trials, like we're not sitting here doing this shit.
Let me ask you this, because obviously, to go to trial, you have to be, competent enough to participate in your own defense. What about his competence? I mean, again, I'm not saying anything crazy here, but let's just say that, a little bit down the road here, I mean, can his attorneys get in touch with him?
I mean, yes. I've heard that appellate counsel was able to see him recently in Oklahoma.
So if he's of sound mind, okay, but what about when he's not? What about, when that happens?
And how do you know?
Or if that happens?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's people have this misconception about mental illness and psychopathy and psychosis and paranoid.
Well, if it's not glaring like it was before,
right,
where he's eating poop.
Right. If he's not sitting there eating his shit. But what I'm saying is that you could be sitting right across from somebody that is diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic who is medicated and you would not ever know.
Sure.
Because they're acting completely normal. They're not having the paranoid, thoughts and, delusions of grandeur and all the shit that comes along with it. Like, people have this thing in their head based on the fucking movies they've watched throughout their life, thinking that everybody that's got mental illness has to be frothing at the mouth and acting like the fucking.
But what do you do when he's so broken down? Again, I'm just theoretically saying, what if he's back to the way he was while incarcerated the first time, and he's going around saying he did it? I mean, how do you continue appeal on that? How do you continue to defend that if he's not even mentally there to participate? And he's convinced he did it, even though he didn't. But that's the state of being to which he is. Do you keep? I mean, what do you do? I mean, they basically broke it down so much. It's hard to walk that back, even though the person is damaged because of the system, not because of any sort of crime they committed.
Yeah, I mean, I know, man. It's like. My whole thing with this is that the people that are like, oh, you know what? He confessed 25 times. I'm like, okay, well, I listened to him and him saying I did it. And then in the next saying, well, when Kathy's saying, no, you didn't, they're fucking with you. And he's saying, well, maybe I did, or evidently I did. Like, that is not a fucking confession.
No.
Like, if anybody feels comfortable in this chat with having that serve as a confession, if it was on you, then I don't know what to tell you.
No, everybody likes to go, it won't happen to me. It couldn't be me.
Like, if I'm not exactly sure what's going on, if I'm kind of slipping in and out of reality because of the confinements of my condition or the conditions of my confinement, which is going to happen to you. You're going to lose the concept of night and day. You're going to have sleep deprivation, like all the things that are happening to you that are going to be the way they're going to affect the way that your mind works, man. It's just here's where I'm at with it. Wouldn't it have been much nicer to just had him in holding in like say Cass County, and then if Richard Allen starts saying things like, you know what, I did this to the girls, or if he wrote the warden or the keeper of the jail in Cass County, hey, you know what? I really just want to be able to apologize to the families, and he's been kept under normal circumstances, and then you're not doubting the veracity, or the credibility of those confessions. What they did to him made it impossible for me to give those things any weight.
Yep.
Sure.
And that's where I'm at with it.
I got a question for you, because you and Allie on an episode not long ago on Defense Diaries, you were talking about the exclusion of the 3:12 a.m. jail call, where Allen allegedly lucidly professed his innocence. So if we have the ones where he's, they're throwing in the ones where he's saying he's guilty, but we're not including the ones where he's professing his innocence. Tell me about that, because that was new to me when I started hearing about that.
Yeah, so like that particular circumstance with Allen, and it was so at trial, which is when we're all first hearing about the details of these confessions, and Brad Rosie, who's again one of Allen's attorneys, before the morning session is going to start, because what we're going to be hearing in open court is finally the recordings of these confessions, these phone calls between Richard Allen and his wife, and Richard Allen and his mother, and then Richard Allen and his conversation with his stepfather, Ken. Yeah. So the way that it goes down, and the first thing that happens that morning is Brad Rosie comes in and says, okay, well, I've been made to understand that the state is planning on playing 2 phone calls from April, I believe the date's April 3rd. And we we are asking the court that they play the call that preceded it, because they're all part of this under the completeness doctrine. That they're all part of basically a continuing phone call, because the way it went down is, which of course Gull rejected, and Gull said, you know what, you know how you can get that in, Mr. Rosie? You can have your client get up on the stand and testify, and then I'll allow it in. So she basically was trying to strong arm them into having Richard Allen go up on the stand, despite not really knowing what his mental state is, and having your client testify in open court. Pretty scary proposition. But so ultimately, we end up, Brad reads the transcript in court. So that, and then obviously that was entered into the record as evidence. So, when the evidence was recently released, we got the transcript of it. And it's essentially Rick calling at 3:30 in the morning or 3:15 in the morning. And he says, hey, hey, Mom, I need to talk to Dad. And the whole conversation was mind blowing. I was seeing if I could just pull it up. It's like,
is the audio released, or is it just the documentation?
No, there is no. I have not gotten the audio for it. I would love to have the audio. I'd love to have all the audio. Because like, here's the thing that people just are not well before. So essentially, he tells his father, who's his stepdad, he's like, Dad, I just wanted to tell you, how much I love you, and I wanted you to know that. Like I've always felt how much you always had my back, because like Ken really raised Rick, and Rick had an episode a couple of years before these things went down where Rick was suicidal. As I said, there was a thing at the house, where he was threatening to kill himself, and again, this predates the homicides. All right. So, and he thought that was as a result of him doing, so nothing that had nothing to do with it. Again, it had to do with his mental illness that he's had since he was a teenager, with the major depressive disorder and shit like that. So at any rate, he's like, I kind of like drew away from you like after that episode, because like you're not really like, you don't really get into the emotions. Like that's not your thing, So I didn't want to put that shit on you. I didn't want to like make it so that you were going to have conversations with me about that. So he's getting into that. And then, and he says there, he's like, he's like, but I feel like I don't know how much longer I'm going to be lucid. I don't know how much longer I'm going to maintain my sanity. I can feel it. He's like, they're not, he's like, I don't think they're torturing me physically, but they're psychologically torturing me. And he's saying all this shit. He's like, this is like, I feel like I'm in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Like that's what he said. So he's like, that's where I feel like I am. And that's like, so I like, and I've gotten to the point where I can't talk to Mom and Kathy anymore, because it's just, it hurts me so much to hear how much it's hurting them, and I just like, and I don't want to keep doing that to him. So I think it's better if I don't continue to communicate with them, because I don't know what I'm going to say. Like, and he's saying all this shit, man. This is at 3:30 in the morning. Yeah. Okay. And then he goes on to say, and I think that they're trying to extort money from y'all. So he's like, it's like, I don't want you to put money on my card. He's like, I have coffee. Like I'm okay. And I'm good as long as I just have the coffee. He's like, I don't want them. I'm afraid that they're going to be trying to extort money from you. I don't want Kathy and you guys to be like putting any money towards a lawyer, because like I feel like they're just extorting our money, and it's not going to do anything. And like ultimately, he's like, I think that they really think that I did this, and I don't know why. He's like, I honestly, I don't know why they're trying to pin this on me. The only thing that I can think of, and he said this shit, which blew my mind, which I now know, and I don't know if Brad or Andy thought of this independently, but he's like, I just know that there was an election for sheriff right after the arrest.
Oh,
And like he says that in there, like during this call. And so
And they needed to find a boogeyman because the other boogeyman died.
Yeah. So like ultimately they end up ending that call, and then at 8:30, same morning, still like he calls Kathy, and then he's like, and he sounds like I can't tell you if he sounds different because I haven't heard what he sounds like in that. But again, he's not like he can make words, which I think people mistake for him being lucid. The fact that he can make words, when you look at what he was saying 5 hours earlier, now he's getting on the phone with Kathy and he's like, I just called to say I'm sorry. Yeah. And she's like, for what, hon? He's like, I did it. She's like, what? She's
we
like,
heard that one. I remember that one.
Right. Yep. So that we've all heard that one.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah. And that's, and then he's like, well, evidently I did it. They're saying that I did. So like, and then there's a third phone call and he's asking Kathy, which is where the argument was that they were really a continuing call, or that you needed the context of that 3:30 call. He's like, did I call my dad? Yeah. Did I call my dad today?
He didn't remember.
Like, yes, hon. Yeah. I think you did. And he's like, and what did I say to him? Like, I couldn't tell if that was Richard Allen trying that he has somebody standing outside the cell, that he's saying I did it, and he's trying to code Kathy back to, I want you to ask my dad what I said during that conversation at 3:15 in the morning. You know what I mean? I don't know if that, like, who knows, man? It's like the whole thing is insane.
There obviously is some sort of cover up going on here, or avoiding of anybody being responsible for what the hell is going on here. And I don't know if that's because there's someone's covering for who the real killer is. I don't know if they even know who the real killer is, honest to God. I certainly have my suspicions. I know you do too, and I think he's dead. But, it could as very well be yogurt shop-ish too, where a transient comes into town and does that. That could be a very real possibility. But
I think Critter Mama, and I don't know if it was Stacy or Todd who threw that comment up, and they're like, there's nothing crazy about that. Critter Mama. Well, because Critter Mama said, like, well, here comes my crazy coming out. It's like, I don't necessarily think it's any of these people. But it absolutely could be a fucking random who just happened upon a state park trail, or you know what I mean?
But I'm trying to figure out the insane amount of motivation that, it's a system, but it's a system run by people. And what those people behind the system that are using the levers and the rules of the system to railroad this guy every which way in such obvious fashion with no repercussion and no checks and no balances here going on. What is the goal of this, other than is the system trying to protect itself? Because if it were to be exposed or were to be found guilty, and the people who made these poor decisions in this whole process were to have been found of basically ripping human rights away from this man and destroying his life and destroying his family life, and the lawsuit and the dollars that would follow that would then be needed to be repaid to these families because of this. Is it all about that at the end? Is this at the end just Delphi trying to cover their ass because they don't want this to be another making a murderer situation where they have to pay millions of dollars to someone and have a big black eye? But then you go so far, you have so many systems at play here. He's in Oklahoma now. And so who's pulling the levers? Because it's not even the original people pulling them anymore, but they all seem to have this same, let's go and destroy Richard Allen motive.
Yeah. Look, I agree, because look, it's one of three things. Well, maybe one of four things, right? It's either somehow, some way, they got the right guy and they just had a really shitty case and kind of got lucky and got the conviction, and they have the right guy, right? So
even if he's the right guy, you wouldn't treat him this way.
I know. So you've got that thing.
Yeah.
Is in the realm of possibilities. You've got the concept that they knowingly understand that he's not the guy and did the most evil thing humanly possible to another human being, short of killing them. and you railroad him to convict him for a crime that he didn't commit knowingly. Or the other is that their incompetent investigation left them with very little evidence, and this guy was the best fit, and they were going to go in there and they were going to hammer a square peg into a round hole, which is exactly what they did. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, like, one of those things is the truth, you know, and, like, I don't know. I mean, I hope to God it's 3. Like, I hope it's not 2. I hope that the depths of the evil didn't go to the extent where you got a guy running for sheriff. It's been 5 fucking years. And they're like, all right, this guy was out there. Yeah. We can't exclude his shell. Let's make our run at him. You know, he doesn't not look like the guy in the video. We're not going to do any kind of, calculations, and what do they call that? Telegrammat, or what is that? Where the grammaton, whatever. There's somebody in the chat will know, like, where you can tell what the measurement of that fucking. Oh yeah,
why didn't they do any of the? Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, I
telemetry or something. Yeah, like why? Why?
Mathy for me.
Yeah, why not do all of the? And sometimes, I mean, and I also wonder too. I mean, because if it is number 2. And they're doing it for a nefarious purpose of winning an election, which, again, this happens quite often. People will say things, do things to win an election. I'm not saying that's what happened here. I don't know the answer to that question. But I don't think a lot of times people realize the evil as to which they're conducting themselves in the moment, and the repercussions of that evil when you take a step back and you see exactly what that all did. Well, where did this happen? Who made these choices? Mm-hmm. Oh, that looks like a really evil choice. At the time, did you think it was an evil choice? No, I thought I was winning an election. Yeah. Well, it turns out what you did was evil. Yeah. if that's what you did. And I don't care whether you did it, you realized it at the time. It is what it is. And you can call it what you want, just like you can call putting someone in solitary confinement and making them eat their own poop after a while, that it's some sort of special consideration or whatever the hell they called it, to label it something different. It's still the same damn thing. The consequences are the consequences.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man.
What are the next steps in the never-ending saga here of Richard Allen now?
Well, the next thing that's going to happen definitively is that his brief will get filed, and then the state, and I think the Attorney General is preparing the appeal on behalf of the state, their response. So they'll file their response. They'll probably get 30 days. They'll probably ask for an extension. So eventually, both the briefs will get filed, and at some point, the appellate court may allow oral arguments, in which case I'll be in Indiana with bells on for that.
How far down the road is that?
I'm hoping by January or February. I'm hoping everything's filed by January. No. Like December would be nice, but with the holidays, it's just I don't know if it's
sure. Yeah, I mean that can throw I guess so. Yeah, I'm gonna need to go.
Dude. But I mean, look, when the appeals come out, bro, we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
We are.
When the briefs are out, it'll be a lot to talk about.
This is a case. Yeah, this is why we keep talking about it, because this needs to continue to be not fall under the cracks. And I appreciate you obviously never dropping the ball on this. And
I honestly do. There's. You're one of the few creators that's got a nice sized audience that's still like sticking to his guns and keeping the thing kind of in the public's mind, because there's so much shit going on. There's so many cases. There's so much awful shit going on. It's easy to allow things to slip through the cracks. So I really do appreciate the fact that you continue to stay the course, man.
You as well, Bob. You as well. Such a screwed up story. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section on YouTube, if that's where you're watching us. If not, search Hidden Killers, the Tony Bruschi, and you will find us there. Be sure to press subscribe wherever it is you're listening or watching us as well, so you don't miss any of our coverage on this and the many cases we got for you right here. Until next time, for Bob, for Todd, for Stacy, I'm Tony Bruschi. We will talk again real soon.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.